Are you waiting for a change in your life? Something just to happen and then suddenly things will feel better, or just you wish circumstances would change, yet things just keep coming one after another. Well, today I'm going to talk about creating more change in your own life, within yourself, and in the outer world. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then as well. As always, I'd love to hear from you. If there's any topic you would like particularly talked about, reach out to me on social media. My links are in the show notes, or you can leave a comment below. For many years of my life, particularly definitely the first 25 years of my life, certainly, I'm 33 now, almost 34, but definitely at least the first 25 years of my life, in fact, I'll probably say first 30 years of my life, I was in a place where I was like, right, when I get to this point, I am going to feel happier. I'm going to feel more joyful. If I get the girl, the dream girl, if I get the dream home, if I get the certain amount of money, right? Or the dream job, and then there's a dream business, and there's a dream opportunity. And do you know what? Through my life, I worked really, really hard. And I achieved quite a lot of things, in all those different areas, health, relationships, wealth, all those kind of things. Now, it's not about comparing yourself to others. And yeah, definitely in all of those areas, I'd like to improve even more, of course. But do you know what I noticed? When things started coming that I'd always hoped for, like having a really good career. I had an okay career, and then I kind of really built up it, and then I got like a full-time job in a dream city. And yeah, I was popular, and I was doing well with my health, right? And I got all these things, and I actually felt really miserable because I'd gotten further where I wanted to be, and I felt something was missing. And then, what I noticed, particularly in the last, if I'm honest, last few years, particularly when I've been in the area of personal growth, sometimes when you talk about something and share your experiences, the universe, if you're into that kind of thing, or higher power, or whatever you want to believe, sometimes likes to throw you some assignments. Ever seen that? Like, so you feel like you've been really given some assignments and some challenges. You're like, why do this thing keep happening after one another? And you're like, oh, it's really tough. Now, for me, it was an opportunity really to grow. And of course, through those times, there were sometimes I was really down because things externally felt really, really tough. Do you know what I've learned though? That for me, I've noticed certain patterns in people, speaking to people, going through my personal growth journey, learning from some great teachers. And there's a great saying by Jim Rohn that goes, success leaves clues. And what I mean by that, and what he means, I believe, is that if you want to learn how to be successful in an area, it's not about becoming someone you're not. Look at someone who's successful in an area. And have you seen those kind of people? And I used to be like jealous and angry. Now I'm just like in admiration, like, oh, that's really cool. They must have something about them. What can I learn from them? You see those people who are just like, they're killing it. They're just like flow through things, opportunities come to them. And then I've also seen other people, and just like one thing after another happens. And maybe you're in that situation, and I've been in those circumstances in my life. And do you know what I've noticed? And again, this is just what my perspective is. You don't have to go on board with this or not. I will share, though, that I think it's very empowering because it takes the power back to you. Is that, like, and then some people just like, oh, it's always happening again. Oh, things are really tough. And then other people just flowing. Well, it's the inner state I believe they're creating. And when I've been in the state when I'm like, I'm feeling good, I'm prioritizing, feeling good, looking after myself, then things flow a lot more effortlessly. And there's a saying by one guy I've learned from a lot, and he says, outer world, which is everything outside of our own mind and how we think and the voices inside of ourselves and all those kind of things. So the outer world, like everything around you, follows the inner world, not the other way around. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot more sense. And I've seen examples of that. When I've been in a good state, like I'm feeling good, like more and more good things were happening. Not always, a challenge may show up now and then. And also when I've just been like thinking negative, oh, this is so tough, and in the state of complaining, more negative things show up. Maybe not the next day, but like certainly down the line if I continue to stay in that state. And that's just what I've noticed. And it's really hard for people who are left brain, like myself, a key one, who's very analytical, like, nah, that's just like magical spiritual nonsense that doesn't. When you start writing down evidence of it happening, it makes a big difference. So yeah, I've noticed that certainly. And often I've been in the case of like when certain things happen in my life, I will feel good. It's the other way around. When I start feeling good, more good things happen. When I start feeling in a negative state, I find all the negative things to focus on, and then some more challenges show up. Now, even if you're in a good state, right, there's going to be challenges going to show up, but you approach it differently. You look at it differently, right? And again, if you just want to evidence this in your own life, log it for like a couple of weeks, I would suggest on this. So what I really want to share today is it can be really empowering to understand that you're not the effect, you're creating, you're the cause, not the effect. When you start working on, you're prioritizing your inner world and your inner state, then things start showing up more, right? And don't expect to shift overnight. If you're like in a real, maybe you hear me right now and you go like, I'm really low, but that makes a lot of sense, Johnny. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Let's say you do, right? And you're like, Johnny, oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? Okay. I'm going to smile, I'm going to feel good, I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to go out for a run if you're able to run and do all these things and feel good, right? And then you're like, okay, I've been feeling good for a day. All this good stuff's not here yet. It doesn't quite work that quickly. There's a little bit of a delay of when you start feeling good, things coming up. It's not about putting expectation, but let's just focus and prioritizing on feeling good, right? And doesn't it feel good to prioritize feeling good as well? And by the way, I want to be very clear, right? If you're going, because sometimes people will say things like, oh, it's not that simple, this kind of thing, right? Well, I believe a lot of times life is simple. But I also do believe, like, if you've gone through something horrendous, you've lost someone, you've gone through a massive breakup, you've lost something, a job, maybe a financial situation, then it's going to hurt. And it's not just a case of just going, yeah, I'm going to be happy and then good things will show up. That's not what I'm talking about. You need to process things as well emotionally. What I'm talking about is if you're in like this, life always happens to me, everything's tough, stressful kind of state, and I've caught myself in that many times, then it's probably not going to do you any favors. So if you can prioritize one thing, there's always time to prioritize the most important things, I believe. Prioritize focusing on feeling good, okay? And then just note what shows up over time, over a few weeks, all right? So how's it helping you maybe be being stuck there in this like, oh, things are always tough and all that kind of talk? Because if you're anything like me, it didn't do me any favors. So here's some points I want to share with you. Number one, that really helped me work through this. And I catch myself now and then. Of course, I get into now and then negative self-talk. If something happens, like I get all these demands, or like maybe someone says something that upset me, or I'm dating someone that doesn't work out. Of course, I'm a human being. It's like I'm going to be like, that's a little bit upsetting. Let me process it. But I'm able to look at it a lot differently because I prioritize every single morning working on my inner world. I do breath work, I do meditation, and I also do a walk. No phone. Well, I have my phone, but I don't use it. I just use it for the timer. I don't go on my messages. I don't go on my emails. I certainly don't go on my social media. And that allows me to connect with just myself. So focus on your inner world every single morning. Now, I appreciate everyone's got different circumstances. You may be a single parent, or you may be a parent in a relationship, or you may be married, whatever, who may have a little less time, particularly if you've got a very young child, right? I don't, of course, have that, but that's just an example I'm sharing that maybe got a little less time than me, for example. Now, I'm a very busy guy. I'm not going to lie, right? But I always find time for the most important things. I'm a single man with no kids, but I have lots and lots of roles and responsibilities in my life, right? Very busy career, very busy business, very busy like sales work as well. And also obviously creating things every single day. I always make sure the inner world work I do happens every single day. Now, I'm a human being. Now and then it might slip up, right? Okay. But just making it an intention to prioritize it, right? So I make sure like I've got 1.5 to 2 hours every single morning. You may not have that. Maybe it's just 10 to 30 minutes just to prioritize the inner world, reflecting on how you are, what some blocks for not feeling good, and making sure you can try And it's not about like you're not going to feel positive every single morning, but focusing on getting there as much as possible is what I like to do. The second one, so we've got the inner world, put more of an emphasis on the inner world, right? Because a lot of us I found, and this is something I learned from Peter Sage in the Elite Mentorship Forum, is a lot of us try and like fight everything and make things a certain way when like you can't fight reality. You can take action, that's all you can do. But we exhaust ourselves rather than focusing on how we're feeling. We need to do both, don't get me wrong, right? You could Peter uses a good example. He says you can't meditate yourself to millions. If you just sit in your flat all day and meditate and just try to focus on feeling good, all you're going to get is an eviction notice, right? Because you're not out there in the world actually doing a job or a business or anything like that, so you've got to do things. If someone's going to attack you in the street or like a wild animal's coming for you, you can't just sit there and meditate and be like, oh, I feel good, I'm not going to be scared anymore. No, you've actually got to run away, right? But focusing on time and finding time and space to prioritize your inner world. The second one, outer world priorities. So rather than trying to doing too much, just focus on 1 to 3 things you got to do for that day, right? Now, I must admit, I have to catch myself for this. I have a lot of habits and they've ingrained in me over time, right? But habits are automatic. But if you're trying to form new habits, don't do more than 3, because that's just going to make your brain exhausted and very likely give up. So focus on the minimal but the most effective things you can do every single day in the outer world. So if you want to make money and your business, probably one of the things you want to do, even if it scares you a little bit, is start going out having conversations with people online and offline about your business, right? Or if you really struggle with marketing, go and learn about marketing and then implement it. Or struggle with sales, learn about sales and then implement it, right? Got to be honest with what your outer world priorities. If you really want to find the love of your life, right? One of the things you got to do is probably go on dates, right? So your outer world priorities and focus on what those are. Or if your health, you want to get better health, probably one of your priorities is going to be going to the gym, not just researching about it, actually going to the gym. So then the third thing I want to share with you is imagining like you've got your own movie, right? And again, this is a great analogy I learned, that imagine you're the star of your own movie and that everyone else, they're not beneath you, but they're just supporting cast with you, right? And when challenges come in, imagine that's an exciting part of your own movie, right? It's like, suddenly someone shouts at you, oh, this is the scene where I get to really work on my emotions, right? Or maybe something challenging happens, like you didn't get the job you applied for. Oh, this is a scene where my life changes and I find my real true dream job. There's always ways to look at it. So imagining you're in your own movie and then seeing a different perspective is really helpful. Now, I've got a final point for you as well. I want to mention again, though, that if you want to connect me more on social media, in terms of telling me what you'd like me to talk more about on these episodes, or you can do that on social media with my links below, or just leave a comment as well. Now, the final one I'm going to share with you is, for the inner world, it's really important to create a container to release some of your emotions. I do that with things like breath work. Sometimes I need to now and then scream into a pillow. Sometimes I need to listen to sad music and cry. The beauty is that it allows some of those trapped emotions to come out. And that can be really, really beneficial, because if they build up, it causes a lot of stress and causes a lot of tension, cloudy thinking, all these kind of things. And that's not good for that inner world that I was talking about. And it's going to make it harder to find opportunities and things to come into your life. I personally found when I've got a build up of negative feelings in my body. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here, and remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.